Following the beliefs of the 70s witches and Lady Death, there are several hints and a demonic curse. However, the one we think is Lady Death gave us the spoiler no one expected. But Rio's words here were very different. The episode's name was If I Can't Reach You, Let My Song Teach You, which are Lorna Wu's lines for her daughter Alice Wu. In the second episode, Teen even says that Lorna Wu was a very famous singer who wrote the most famous lines of the Ballad of the Witches, which is also the title of this episode. Now, Lorna Wu was a famous singer, and after her death, her daughter's luck was running bad. But we learn from the episode that Lorna added the famous lines of her song Ballad of the Witches as a protection spell. This spell was supposed to keep her daughter safe, but her life became too normal and aimless. This episode gave us a clearer picture of that, but we'll discuss it in more detail later. The episode begins with burying Mrs. Hart, Sharon's body. Now, while everyone is sad about Sharon's passing, Agatha doesn't seem to care. Even here, she gets Sharon's name wrong again. This is noticeable because where it doesn't matter to her, in the end, when Teen is in bad shape, she becomes deeply concerned. Agatha believes what we, the audience, have suspected all along, that Teen is her son, Nicholas Scratch. Somewhere, it is said that Agatha exchanged him for the Darkhold. Now, why does Agatha think he's her son? Because at the end of the episode, Agatha tells Teen that the mark on his face, whoever cast it, it will also hide Teen's identity from the witch herself, meaning the one who cast the sigil won't remember that it's her son. That's why you can notice that in the second episode, Agatha didn't care about Teen, but the moment she saw his sigil, she brought him along with her because she thought he was her son. However, Rio tells Agatha in this episode, the boy isn't yours, which can loosely be translated as he's not your son, but it could also mean that whoever he is, he can't be hers anymore because Agatha has already exchanged him for the Darkhold. Now, from all the portrayals of Mephisto or any underworld creature we've seen so far, one thing is clear. If a deal is made with these demons, it can never be reversed. So, I still believe that Teen is Agatha's son, but due to her deal, he cannot be hers anymore. Maybe the sigil is there for this reason. On top of all this, when Teen falls far during the trial, he says that the demon threw him too, which means he's part of the coven. It seems like Teen is trying to forcefully show himself as part of the coven. However, shouldn't his injuries have healed by the end of the trial? If we assume that this boy is Billy Kaplan and the sigil was placed on him by his mother Wanda, then when did she put the sigil on him? And even if she did, Wanda herself wouldn't remember that Billy is her son. Now let's focus on Rio. Rio appears in the episode from Mrs. Hart's grave when Agatha and the other witches are summoning Greenwich for their incomplete coven. Rio emerges from the ground, uses her demonic voice, and even says in the middle that she couldn't bear it any longer. Agatha says, "You're early," to which Rio replies, "That wasn't in my control." Rio talks like death, claiming the lives of the witches. And it was said in the episode that by the end of the road, Rio will claim everyone's life except Agatha's. Even later, when the spinning records are discussed, Agatha says, Rio is just a tourist, meaning she's only watching and doesn't care about the witch's road. Plus, when Teen was almost dying, Agatha looks at Rio as if she's involved with death. Above all, something strange happened in this episode. It might be a typo in the subtitles, but wherever the word magic was used, the spelling wasn't the usual Magic. Instead, it was Magik. And this happened not once, but twice. Once when Rio was talking to Agatha, and another time when the witches were discussing their battles. The potion which Jennifer said someone bound her without magic. Now, while no such magic was mentioned, another kind of magic does exist in Marvel, which rules limbo. But linking that mutant here doesn't make much sense. In the previous episode, when Agatha was revealing everyone's motives, she told Alice Wu that she was searching for her mother. But the truth we learned here was that she was searching for herself and the purpose of her purposeless life. Her goal was to lift the curse on her family that had cursed her ancestors and would affect future generations too. This trial not only lifted her curse, but also removed the curse on the other witches. However, what I liked more was Agatha's performance in pain, and that's a powerful thing because real art comes from pain, sorrow, tears. The previous trial was the Potion Witch's trial, and it felt more dangerous, while this trial was a bit different. This was Alice Wu's trial, the Protection Witch's trial. Here, the Protection Witch had to use her protection spells. The protection spell was used in the form of Lorna's song, sung to protect everyone from the demon. Perhaps it was this very trial that trapped Alice's ancestors, leading them to fall under the curse. But now, the curse no longer exists. The trial didn't feel as dangerous, maybe because it was shorter than the previous one. At the gate of the house from the last trial, there was a full moon called the water phase. The gate of this trial had a waxing moon, referred to as the fire phase. Teen is the one telling everyone the names of these phases, and I believe Teen knows more about the witch's road than the witches themselves. Again, upon entering the house, the frame size of the episode changes. I really like this artistic choice, which somehow gives it a TV feel while still being logical. In this trial, they even discuss playing the record backward, which they claim is making the demon's voice come out. This idea of playing records backward to reveal hidden satanic messages was a rumor that circulated in America during the 60s and 70s. Famous songs like Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, the Eagles' Hotel California, and even Pink Floyd's Empty Spaces were accused of having hidden messages when played backward. This phenomenon was called blackmasking, and in the 80s some religious groups in America started burning records in protest. But in reality, it was explained as a case of pareidolia, where the brain finds meaning or patterns in random data. Now, I'm surprised that the witches are believing this backward nonsense, which caused people in the 70s and 80s to point fingers at each other, calling them witches. In the episode, Jennifer shares her story about how a doctor bound her without magic. We even got a glimpse of that doctor in the previous episode, and I hope we get to see more of this story in the future. So far, almost every episode has shown Lilia phasing out suddenly, and I hope we get an answer to this as well. Agatha mentions the Daughters of Liberty in the episode, saying they cut her battles. In the comics, the Daughters of Liberty are a group taught magic by Agatha Harkness herself. Interestingly, in real life, a female association by that name existed in the 18th century, but they were more involved in the American Revolution than witchcraft. However, I felt that this episode wasn't as detailed as the previous one, but we did get more hints about Teen's connection to Agatha, Alice Wu's curse being lifted, and a bit of romance between Rio and Agatha. On top of all this, it was revealed this week that Agatha All Along is Marvel's lowest budget series ever made. While exact numbers haven't been released yet, it's said to have a smaller budget than the Echo series, which was made on a $40 million budget. If Agatha All Along is made for less than that, and considering the writing quality and the episodes so far, it's very impressive. Fans might criticize Secret Invasion more now, which failed to justify its $200 million budget. But what are your thoughts on this episode? What's your theory about Teen and death? How did you find this episode? Be sure to leave a small review in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and share it, and subscribe to our channel for more content. To watch Episode 3 breakdown, watch the video above. And to know about Wiccan powers and origin, watch the one below. I'll be back with a new video soon.